The RTX 4090. Do you really need one, or will Old Faithful behind me still get the job done? Let's find out. So after the launch of the RTX 4090, as well as both AMD Ryzen and Radeon 7000 series and Intel 13th Gen, I'm sure a lot of you are sitting at home wondering if your mid-range system is still worthy of being called a gaming PC. Being a mid-range gamer, average Joe, or whatever you'd like to call yourself, is a really interesting but fun place to be within the PC gaming community. You don't have the oldest hardware, nor the latest and greatest. You're probably gaming at 1080p, and 60 FPS is nice to have, but not a deal breaker, as nicer visuals at the cost of a few frames will not get you going full Hulk smash on your keyboard, so you're not trying to become the next esports champion. And if you're anything like me, you like to play a wide range of games. Anything from an arcade style racer to an action-packed RPG, and even some simulators. But then suddenly, a new shiny boy arrives on the scene, smashes 3D Mark records to pieces, and goes from 0 to 200 faster than an F1 car. And you're left sitting there contemplating about which kidney to sell. But do you really need to? Let's take a look at Old Faithful here behind me. She's always been a work in progress build, as pretty much any gaming PC is, with some of the components still tagging along since a build I did way back in 2014. So if you skipped the part where I said this has always been a work in progress, let me elaborate on that. Some of you might think I sat down one evening and ordered all of these parts as they are here straight from Amazon, built the system, and Bob's your uncle. There she is. But it's been a long yet quite fun road to get to this point. I bought my power supply back in 2014 when the 80+ silver rating was still a thing. Nowadays, most power supply manufacturers jump straight from bronze to gold, as the difference in those efficiencies aren't as big anymore. Back then it gave life to an Intel Core i5 3570K build, and has been in my builds ever since, just showing what an investment a good power supply can be, and how sad it is that most people neglect it and opt for the cheapest one, hopefully sufficient enough to power their systems. If I can give a few cents worth to guys just starting out building a PC, don't cheap out on your power supply. It's literally the heart of your system, giving life to each component you put in. Get a decent one. That 1060 has been tagging along since 2018, where it took the place of my old EVGA GTX 660 Ti for the Win Signature 2 edition. And I thought Cooler Master products were a mouthful. And it has been giving me nothing but gaming smiles ever since. Now I know some of you might be thinking, why a Strix 1060? What an absolute waste of money. Well, it runs super quiet and cool. It gets the job done. It looks damn good, and well, I just really love Asus Republic of Gamers product. I just look and feel that bit more special than anything else on the market, and they've yet to prove me wrong in the quality and performance department. Now, if this was a normal 4090 review video, it would have probably ended right here with a big sarcastic, wow. Who could have guessed? A 4090 outperforms a 1060. Thanks for watching and goodbye. But it isn't, so stay right there where you are. I bought my CPU and motherboard as a bundle that came with a single 16GB stick of cheap, slow DDR4, which I ended up donating to our home theater PC. But for the price, I really couldn't say no. And yes, I know that a lot of tech YouTubers will rant on and on about pairing a Ryzen 5 3600 with the X470 motherboard, but the bundle deal was just priced so good that I couldn't say no. And to top it all off, that X470 has got all the bells and whistles to last a good few years, and will be happy as can be should I upgrade to a higher tier Ryzen 3000 or 5000 series CPU. And yes, I know the motherboard is limited to PCIe Gen 3 and can only take 2 M.2 drive, and the CPU doesn't boost as high as newer models, but this hasn't stopped me from using the system for the reasons I built it: 1080p gaming and some light editing work. That's the third cooler the system has seen. Started off with the stock Ryzen cooler, pretty decent cooler I must say, and then upgraded to a Cooler Master Hyper 212 RGB Black Edition. That really gave almost similar performance to the AIO currently installed. So if you're by any chance rocking a Hyper 212 in your build, you don't need to feel bad about not having an AIO or custom loop. RAM is a bit overkill at 32GB, but I really wanted to go dual channel 3600 MHz to get the best performance I could, and the price difference between the 16 and 32GB kit at the time of purchase made this the obvious choice, as I do some design and editing work as well. The SSD and hard drive are pretty standard, nothing special about them. Just a no frills Gen 3 NVMe drive and a good old 4TB SATA hard drive to bring balance in the world of responsiveness and bang for your buck mass storage. I matched all the fans in my build to the ones included with the AIO, and I must say, for reasonably budget ARGB fans compared to the other models from Cooler Master and the big guns in the industry like Corsair, they hold up pretty well. They run quiet, come with quite decent RGB, and haven't given me any issues as yet. The RGB effects are limited to what your motherboard lighting control software can handle, as they plug straight into a standard 3-pin ARGB header, but it eliminates the need for an expensive lighting controller such as a Commander Pro or similar. The center panel is just a cheap generic Raspberry Pi screen that I got from my local electronics store, running 8x64 that I put in after seeing the video that Jane Full from JS2Sense did. Nowadays it seems like a PC build isn't complete without one, which makes sense, as it offers nice on-the-fly monitoring and you can really customize it to your heart's content. So that brings us to the case. Back in my student days, I used to change cases on basically a yearly basis. It was a cheap way of making it feel like you have a brand new system. Now I know this case is all but cheap, but as it wasn't part of my initial build budget, it didn't stop me from buying the parts I wanted, and seeing that I haven't looked at upgrading anything else, I thought, why not upgrade from my old Mastercase Pro 5 and give Old Faithful a shiny new home? And damn, what a case this is. Might even do a future video about life of the Helios. But that's enough ranting on about my build. Let's get down to business and see how she does in a few games. And for interest's sake, I didn't use the built-in benchmarks. I actually played each game on each graphics preset to simulate a real gaming experience and get the results as credible as possible. I think it's quite clear that a 1066 gig still gives a more of an enjoyable gaming experience at 1080p. Yes, there are a few games like Cyberpunk and Red Dead Redemption 2 that get the card to show its age, but I tested all the games using their built-in graphics preset levels, and with a few minutes worth of tweaking, you can get those FPS up by quite a bit without even having to compromise too much on visual quality. And I tried to play and benchmark each game in a quite demanding scene, like racing in the middle of the pack on F1, twisty roads with lots of scenery on Forza, and large battles on Assassin's Creed Valhalla to simulate the worst experience you could have while gaming. And that 1060 still held up pretty well. So it's clear why the GTX 1060 was still the most used GPU according to the September 2022 Steam survey. It just does what it's designed to do, 1080p gaming, and it does it pretty well. So the question that I still need to answer: do you really need an RTX 4090? If you're trying to game at ridiculous resolutions and want the highest FPS possible, then maybe. But if you're just an average gamer wanting to enjoy your favorite title at 1080p, definitely not. Would it be nice to have a 4090? Probably. But at the end of the day, Old Faithful will still get the job done, and that's what matters the most. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe for some more mid-range gaming. See you in the next one.